She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another dame, she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace. She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another dame, she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace.
Hello, litigators and opinionators. Court is now in session. So, guys, we have been talking about this case for a while now. The tragic, unalive and murder of 9-month pregnant Savannah Soto and her drug dealing boyfriend, Matthew Guerra. Now, our initial theory was it was a drug deal gone wrong and it was a robbery. That was my initial theory. I told y'all from the day one that was going to be the result. Now we have found, and the arrest has been done last night. And y'all, I was supposed to do the story last night when it happened, but your girl had a migraine, so I couldn't do it last night. I was like, oh, well, we'll get it to tomorrow. So we're here today. You know who they arrested, y'all? They arrested a father and a son. So a teenager. Good morning, for Grant's kid. How are you? It was a teenager who basically met up with, who set this whole thing up, basically. He met up with the victims here and robbed them and murdered them. And then his father was the heavyset guy in the surveillance with the truck. He was the one that came and helped his son basically clean up the scene and store this car at this apartment complex that had absolutely no connection whatsoever to the whole incident. So it was just some random apartment complex that they decided to ditch the car at after this happened. So let's look at the video from the news, and then we will also try to take a look at the news conference from law enforcement. But y'all, I told you they were going to find out who it was and that they already knew who it was. The officers already knew, but they were gathering their evidence so that they could have enough to present it to a district attorney's office, and the district attorney's office would find it sufficient to file a charge and actually conduct the arrest. That was why they did not say anything, but the whole time the officers already had the suspects. And the way that they were able to find out who unalived these two was through Savannah's phone. So I told you guys in my part 2 video that Savannah was very much involved in these drug sales and that she knew everything, that was going on with these drug sales. And I was able to determine that, in my opinion, from Mr. Drug Dealing Matthews' telegram, because I heard her voice in the background. You can tell she's one of those women that support her boyfriend and all his endeavors. And y'all, she was going to these drug deals with him and even setting up some of these, because some of the communications were in her cell phone, not in Matthew's. And the reason why I believe a lot of these drug deals were in her cell phone and the communications, because Mr. Guerra was on probation. He was on a felony probation. So that means he basically had lost his constitutional rights in terms of his phone. His parole officer could look at his phone anytime they want. They did not have to have any form of probable cause. They could just go in, search his phone. Whenever they meet up with him, they could do drug tests. They could search his house, whatever. They don't have to have any form of probable cause because he is on felony parole. And he also was facing 3 new felonies. So the way to cover this, in my opinion, this is just a theory, I believe he would have Savannah set up these drug deals in her phone because the officers didn't have any probable cause to search her phone. So that's how they were able to find out and track who they were in communications with was through her phone. So of course, this amateur boy out here who basically set up this whole thing to rob Mr. Guerra. And this is what I was telling you. Guerra is online flashing all this money, all these drugs. He's the big bad drug dealer on town. And what do you think? There's people on social media watching him and you have no clue who is watching you. So let's go ahead and take a look at this news reporting of this.
It's 5:02 right now, and we are following some breaking news from overnight. There has been a huge break in the case of the murders of soon-to-be parents Savannah Soto, her unborn baby Fabian, and the baby's father, Matthew Guerra.
San Antonio police arresting a teenager and his father in connection with those crimes. News 4's Christina De Leon joins us now with details on the case and how police found the suspects. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everyone. Police say it was Savannah's cell phone that actually led to the big break. They were able to find it at the scene, and with the help of Secret Service, it actually led to the information that led them ultimately to their suspects. Police arresting Ramon Preciado for abuse of a corpse. The 53-year-old did not talk to our cameras as he was taken off to jail. He is accused of helping his son dispose of the bodies of Savannah Soto, her unborn son, Fabian, and their
a hot mess. And this explains because remember in the video surveillance, guys, we saw a very heavy set man that was in a truck. So I think, like I said, I feel like they communicated about this, him and his son, because his son was the one that set up the whole drug deal. But his father ended up meeting him in a truck at the apartment complex. So I feel as though they communicated about this and set this whole thing up. Look at this hot mess man. But this makes a lot of sense now because we did see a heavy set man come out of a truck. And that was this, allegedly, this man that was coming out the truck, the father of a teenager. What's up with these teenagers, guys? We just did a story recently about two teen boys who got in a fight over some Christmas presents and the 14-year-old murdering his sister. And then there's a story about a 13-year-old stabbing his mom to death, which I probably may even cover that story. I'm kind of wanting to hear the motive behind that one. Now we got a teenager out here setting up a drug deal to murder a drug dealer and his 9-month pregnant girlfriend. And it makes sense why he didn't value the life of a 9-month pregnant woman, because this kid was a kid. He doesn't understand the value of life. He out here looking on social media, saw Mr. Guerra bragging online about all his money and all the drugs he has, which made him a target, as I mentioned before.
Father Matthew Guerra after they were killed by his son. Now, police also arresting 19-year-old Christopher Preciado. Police say he is the one who killed the three.
19-year-old. Oh, he grown. Okay, he's not grown, but he's an adult. Oh, heck no, 19. Okay, this makes sense now, y'all. This is crazy. I told you these drug dealers need to be careful. Flashing online, make him a target. So this 19-year-old boy, oh, well, he's not even a boy, 19-year-old man, let's say man.
During a drug deal. Police say they were all murdered on December 19-year-old Christopher Preciado. Police say he is the one who killed the three during a drug deal. Police say they were all murdered on December 21st, just before midnight at another location. They can timeline that because of the medical examiner. Again, December 21st, just before midnight. They were murdered at another location. Then their car was left at the Colinas of Medical Apartments with no relation to anything. They just left their car there with the bodies inside, and that's where they were found days later. On December 28th, police released those surveillance images that we all saw of that truck pulling up next to the missing Kia with the bodies inside in the back of the apartments. And since then, police say they got a number of tips with information.
There was a lot of misinformation out there. These two individuals are the only suspects that we were looking for. They were arrested. There were many names being thrown around on the internet. Those people had nothing to do with this. We vetted them and everything. They didn't have anything to do with these murderers.
See, you heard that officer clearly say there were many names thrown on the internet. See, this time I didn't fall for it, because last time we were conducting an investigation or a review of another murder, and all these people are out here throwing out names, and I was like, this time I am not about to fall for it. I'm not mentioning anybody's names. I'm gonna let the law enforcement handle it, because if you guys have been watching social media, all these different crime YouTubers and people are out here throwing out names and people that have nothing to do with this. It's dangerous when you start bringing up names. Like I said, law enforcement usually has a clue at the beginning of these investigations about who did it. If not by the beginning, at least a few days after, if not, a couple days. But that's why I feel as though they knew the whole time who did this. It's just they were working to build their evidence before they could announce it.
So police say with the help of that cell phone information, they were able to track it down to that vehicle that matched the description in the surveillance video. Once they got to their home, they knocked on their door. The father answered. They were able to go downtown, give them statements, answer questions. That was enough to give them a warrant and get the information they needed to make these arrests. Now the district attorney will decide on more charges against the pair since there was a death of an unborn child. But for now, the father and son remain behind bars. I did some checking. Their bonds have not been set just yet. They're waiting to see a magistrate judge. And again, we're going to continue to follow the story, let you know more details as we get them. But for now, that is the latest. Reporting live, I'm Christina De Leon. We will send it back to you.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve vision. So you can.
That's crazy, guys. That is crazy. A teenager out here. That's what I'm saying. These drug deals are dangerous. Either drug dealers end up unalived. Oh, here, let's see. Let's take a look at this.
His name is Ramon Preciado, 53 years old.
The sound is a little bad. He said Ramon Preciada. That's the name of the father.
The second individual is Christopher Preciado, 19 years old, SID number 1191061.
Christopher.
The two individuals we just walked out today, again, is a father and son. The first individual is the father. The second individual is the son. They're going to be charged. The son's going to be charged this evening with capital murder, and the father's going to be charged with abuse of the corpse. So we do expect more charges to be pending. So I'm not going to go into the whole thing. We all know what kind of led us to this to where we are today. I will say that when we recover, or when the bodies were discovered on Danny K, obviously the investigation began. SAPD detectives made that location and started collecting evidence. One of the key pieces of evidence that we did collect at the scene was Savannah's cell phone. And so that was handed over to our technology team, who was able to download some information on there. With the assistance of the U.S. Secret Service, we were able to get enough information. And so that information was given to our detectives today. With that information, the detectives were able to find a possible location of where the suspect vehicle that was released on that surveillance camera, the surveillance video, possible location where that suspect vehicle might be. They made that location, and sure enough, the vehicle was there. They did a little bit of surveillance on the video, or on the vehicle, and then were able to determine which house it belonged to. They went up, knocked on the door. The first gentleman, the first individual, the father answered the door. He knew why the police were there. Was cooperating.
Of course, Mr. Ramon Prasada knew why you were there. He was waiting for them to come because he knew they was going to get caught. I mean, clearly these criminals are not that smart. And especially a 19-year-old teenager who probably, I wonder what this teenager's criminal record was. Out here robbing people, y'all. Right, Tanika, she was definitely young and naive. She was out here for my man, ride or die for him, out here, facilitating and working with him in these drug deals, and ended up getting her life taken because of it. But Mr. Prasada, when the officer said, oh, he wasn't surprised. Oh, yeah, he wasn't surprised because he already knew what he did.
Fully with the investigation, we're brought here to headquarters, and our detectives were able to start interviewing both the son and the father. Again, they were both at the home. They were both brought down here, and the interrogations began. Through interrogating the individuals, our detectives had enough, based on what they said, there was enough information there to get a warrant signed by a judge tonight, again, to charge Christopher with capital murder and Ramon with abuse of a corpse. Again, there will be more charges pending. This is what we have right now. I'll answer any questions.
Due to the capital murder for the son and then abuse of the corpse charge for the dad, does that mean that you guys believe the son killed them and then the dad helped hide the bodies?
Yes. And so I want to touch base on something real quick. Since the release of the video that we put out on the 28th, internet has blown up with people sending tips and people just sending misinformation. There was a lot of misinformation out there.
The abuse of a corpse, y'all, that got me thinking here. There is a lot more details about what happened to the bodies of Savannah and Matthew that have not been disclosed. I know Mr. Guerra's pants were taken off, but I feel there's a more, because the abuse of a corpse tells me that they did something with the corpse of the bodies, which, oh God, I hope they didn't do anything to the baby or something, or oh Lord, y'all, this is sounding a lot more graphic. And you remember during part 1 of my video, the cousin spoke. We did a little clip of the cousin of Guerra, and she said it looks like he was tortured. So he wasn't just executed, he was tortured as well. So it looks as though that sick teenager, 19-year-old Christopher Prasada, did some sick stuff to the corpse, because this extra charge abuse of a corpse tells me that there was a lot that went on, more than just the shots to the head.
These 2 individuals are the only suspects that we were looking for. They were arrested. There were many names being thrown around on the internet. Those people had nothing to do with this. We vetted them and everything. They didn't have anything to do with these murders. So the individual, again, Christopher, we believe committed the murders of Matthew and Savannah, and then Ramon helped. It appears to be a narcotic-related deal that went bad.
Do we know the connection?
Exactly what my theory was from the very beginning. A drug deal gone bad. That's what it was. When you are involved in drug sales like Mr. Guerra was, and as flashy as he was online, it made him a target. I mean, he literally had a telegram displaying hundreds of posts of different types of drugs, like he was the candy store for drugs. Like he was the iPhone store for drugs, basically. You know, like he was out here displaying all that he had. So it made him a target to so many people out there who you don't even know who's watching your social media. So there's 2 different outcomes for drug dealers. Either it's premature death or it's jail. And now he took this woman right along with him, because she was over here supporting this man, helping in these drug sales. She was just as long involved in it as anyone else. At first, we did not know that initially, but as the information started to come out, she's involved in these drug sales and went right along with this man on a drug sale. So what does that, lead to? Endangering yourself. As sad as it is.
Between this father and son and Matthew and Savannah, or the connection to the apartment complex?
So there's no apparent connection to the apartment complex. It's just a place where they went to go dispose or hide the vehicle with the bodies in it. And it appears that it was a drug deal. So there was like a drug connection to the suspect and the 2 victims.
When you say abuse of a corpse, can you talk about that a little bit? Is there any mutilation, or is that?
It's just when you hiding the body, moving the body after discovering that, and all that kind of stuff. Yep.
Okay, guys, he just clarified the whole abuse of a corpse charge. He's saying that they moved the body and hid the body. So that tells me, guys, that the murder did not take place at the apartment complex. It took place at another location, wherever they met up to do this drug sale. Then after that happened, he probably put the gun to Mr. Guerra's head, make Mr. Guerra go into the back seat, probably even made him take his pants off at that time just to humiliate him. Then, unalived them, and then drove the car to that apartment, probably, got in communication with his father, and they decided to meet up at that random apartment complex to ditch the car. And I think that's where and probably try to hide the evidence or whatever else they did to the evidence there, which led to the abuse of a corpse charge. But the cousin, Mr. Guerra's cousin, said something about him, Mr. Guerra, being tortured. So it made it appear as though there was more that happened to the corpse. So I'm interested in the trial and the evidence that'll come out to explain exactly what happened to the corpse, because the cousin makes it appear it was more than just the details we received.
So December 21st, which is a Thursday, just before midnight, is when the actual murders took place. On that.
And are they going to be charged for the baby? Because in the state of Texas,
Getting all your daily nutrients is hard work, but nutrition gaps in your diet are inevitable.
Okay, so he just gave us a detail, guys. So the murders actually took place December 21st. That was several days before the family discovered that they were missing. The family only caught wind that they were missing was because she was supposed to be induced that Saturday, and that's when they realized something was wrong. Okay, so this is making more sense. The murders actually happened several days.
Right. So like I said, there's going to be possible charges pending, more charges pending. Our detectives are going to talk with the Bexar County DA to determine if they're going to be any charges facing any charges related to the unborn baby.
And do we know if she was dilated at all?
I didn't have that information from the medical examiners. I know that she was scheduled to be induced, and she didn't make her appointment, which is why the family went to the police to file the missing persons report.
Did he say where exactly they killed them?
I don't have the exact location, or we just know that they were killed at a different location and then taken to the apartment complex to dispose of the vehicle and the bodies. I know there was.
Exactly, guys. And that's what we talked about in part one. If you watched part one, I said the reason why they said it was more of a complex, perplex type of crime scene was because my theory was that there were two different crime scenes. The first crime scene was where the murders took place. And then the second crime scene is where they ditched the body, which was at that apartment complex. So that's why it was complex, because they couldn't even locate and determine where the initial crime occurred. And he's now confirming that in this news conference. So yeah, there should be definitely more charges about the death of the fetus, because it was a full-blown child at this point. It was ready to be delivered. So that is a third murder. So yeah, there's going to be definitely more charges. And I hope, because they're in Texas, I hope these two get the death penalty. That is my prayer. I mean, I know it sounds a little harsh, but I don't play when it comes to murder. I do not play when it comes to that. And especially as heinous as it was, this woman was about to induce. But the thing is, she endangered her child. He Mr. Guerra endangered his girlfriend by even allowing her to take part in these different drug sales, because she was a regular participant in these. Clearly, her phone was the evidence they used to find the two defendants in this case. So clearly, I mean, this girl was just as much involved in these crimes and led to the murder of her child. And the way this child would have eventually been raised, he probably would have ended up going down the same path as his drug dealing father, as sad as it is. But they did not deserve what happened to them. They did not. And I hope they throw the book at this father and 19-year-old teenager who, in my opinion, he's not even a teenager, 19-year-old man. Okay, if you want to put it like that.
There some Spanish questions I wanted to knock out real quick.
Sí, podría darnos un resumen pequeño para la audiencia.
Si tienes preguntas.
Sí, ¿a quiénes presentaron esta noche?
Sí, esta noche los asesinatos, transacción de drogas, que
through the accomplice theory or the multiple parties theory.
Sorry, could who?
Okay, he about to speak Spanish, and I was like, I had to forward it.
No, he was not. He was not there during the commission of the murders. He was there kind of. I guess he was called afterwards to help his son. I'm sorry. Out today again is a father. Kind of. I guess he was called afterwards to help his son.
Okay, that makes sense. So, guys, the father, Ramon Prasada, was an accessory after the fact. So he was not there during the crimes. It's unclear whether he actually communicated with his son, Christopher, to facilitate the crime. But it appears as though Christopher contacted his dad after the murders were done. So Christopher went there, met with Matthew and Savannah to do this drug deal and rob them. It went bad, allegedly, and he unalived them, then called his dad to help clean up the whole situation, basically. So the father is an accessory after the fact. He's still a part of the conspiracy. It may be after the fact. So I don't know. He may or may not even get the death penalty, but Christopher probably is on the hook, probably, if they do decide to go for the death penalty. I don't know. They might even throw in the book at Christopher. Who knows? But sorry, Christopher is the person who's the main culprit. They might throw the book at Ramon, but I don't know if Ramon would get necessarily a death penalty because he was an accessory after the fact. Could get life, and he might get life in prison, and Christopher might end up with possible death penalty. Maybe we'll see though. We'll see.
I'm sorry?
Do you still have previous records?
Christopher has no previous criminal history, and Ramon did have a small, he had some prior criminal history.
So are you all done looking for suspects?
Wow, guys. So these two are rookie criminals. So Christopher had no criminal history. The 19-year-old teenager who unalived these two, no criminal history. And his father had like a small little charge on his record. So these are rookie people. This is what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was saying, guys, from part one. Matthew made himself a target to random people online because of how he just paraded himself around with stacks of money, drugs all displayed on his Telegram. You don't know who's going to reach out to you online to do a drug sale. So we have these random people who have no criminal records, or one that has the father has a very minor record. You know, the teenagers seeing all this money flashed online, and he broke, clearly don't have a life. So what do you think? If somebody's hungry out here in the streets seeing you with a stack of money online with drugs and everything, what do you think? Christopher set that whole thing up to go rob these people and get paid, and didn't care who lived or died. Whoever was there was going to be unalived. So that's the crazy part about it, guys. These two don't even have criminal records that are really major criminal records. This gives clues to the fact that Matthew Guerra made himself a target with his lifestyle and him parading around all his, money and drugs and everything online, making him a target to whoever out there. Just sad, y'all.
Yeah, we don't have any other suspects.
And that surveillance video, were they alive during that surveillance video? They were not alive.
Okay. Last question, guys.
Bingo. Y'all, if y'all been following me for part one, that's exactly what I said in part one. When they drove up to that apartment, well, not when Christopher drove Matthew's car to meet his father at the apartment complex, I told you guys, those two individuals were not alive anymore. Savannah and Matthew had already been deceased by the time they got to that apartment complex, because you can tell by the way they were behaving. They're very calm, not panicked. You didn't see them looking around, bouncy, fidgety. No, the crime had already occurred by them at the first crime scene. And after the murders were completed, that teenager then called his father, and his father told him to meet him at that random apartment complex, which makes you realize now, a lot of people are saying, well, if this really was a planned murder or whatever, why would they go to this apartment complex that had video surveillance? Because they're not smart, guys. These clearly are rookie people who have no criminal records, number one. So they're not looking out for all the other different things that law enforcement looks for to track criminals. For example, most apartment complexes have video surveillance. But these people who have no criminal records, do you think they know that? Or they even look out for stuff like that? No. Clearly, they're amateurs. Number two, they didn't even get Savannah's phone, the very piece of evidence that was used to track them in the first place. Like, guys, I told y'all from the very beginning in part one that these were individuals that were not smart. And that's why they were caught. Because someone in the chat in part one was saying, oh, well, if they really planned this thing, why would they go to this apartment complex when there's clearly for video surveillance? Because they're not so smart. Okay, so our theories all came. Oh, Iowa has a new tragedy. Okay, Marcos, can you please let me know about that one, sweetie, in one of my comments on YouTube, and I'll check that one out. Okay, but yeah, guys, these are rookie individuals that were not too smart, and that's why they got caught, guys.
Christopher killed them and then moved the bodies to the car. Correct.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you moved them into the vehicle. The vehicle with the bodies in was driven to that apartment complex. It didn't happen at that apartment.
So ultimately, who's going to make the decision on the final charges? Is that going to be the DA's office?
Correct, yes. So our detective, again, tonight are charging them with Christopher with capital murder and Ramon with abuse of a corpse. They are working on some other charges that they're going to file. But regarding, I think specifically the question that you had about the unborn baby, they're going to have a conversation with the DA to determine whether they can charge or put the baby as another victim on.
So does SAP have any say whenever they talk to the DA's office?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a collaboration with our DA's office.
Would you say SAPD is going to seek that they're charged for the unborn baby?
Our detectives are going to do everything they can to bring justice to the family.
You guys, they better charge extra charges for the murder of the child. They better, because that was a full-blown child in her womb, ready to be delivered the next, well, not even the next day because it was the 21st, but for a few days after that because she was supposed to be induced that Saturday. So the DA should, I mean, they have all these anti-abortion laws in Texas. So you can't just now come to say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to charge it or not. Girl, bye. They better charge it because that was 2 days before she needed to be induced. They were unalived on Thursday, the 21st, and she was supposed to be induced the 23rd. So this officer here is saying he doesn't know if the DA is going to charge it as a murder or not of the baby. They better, because I mean, come on, all these abortion laws you guys have out here, and they just
look your first cleaning.
And this guy just literally unalived the baby too. They better. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm gonna have a fit if they don't. So yes, y'all. Let's take one more look at this little pitiful father out here. Should be ashamed of himself. Should be ashamed. Ramon Prasada. How dare you? You're supposed to be teaching your kid to get a job, go to school, get an education, instead of out here setting up robberies that went wrong, and then have the audacity. These parents should be ashamed of themselves. We have a lot of failed parents in these different scenarios lately. Well, I talked about the 2 teenagers and the 14-year-old who unalived his sister. That was a failed parent scenario. Now we got this man out here helping his son, you know, after the fact of a crime. And I just told you guys that you know, they were going to charge Christopher, the teenager, with capital murder. And this individual, he's going to get separate charges for his assistance after the fact. So he's not going to get the capital murder charge. His son will, though. But, you know, he could be on the hook of facing life in prison for helping, too. So we shall see, y'all. Y'all let me know what you think about this. These 2 individuals did not deserve to die. I hope it does teach some of these young individuals out here, you know, to make better decisions in their life. May they rest in peace. You know, they are human and they deserve to live. Everybody deserves to live. No one, no matter what lifestyle they have, deserves to be brutally unalived. As you know, people don't get to play God. They just don't. And it's not right. But this story should teach our young people to make better choices, because we can draw devastating situations like this to us with our lifestyles. Right. Lakeisha said, oh my God, the looks of the dad. He's not going to make it in prison. Girl, he's not. He's not. He probably has all kind of health issues already, girl. And in those poor conditions in prison, he is not going to make it. Right, with that long hair, girl, they're going to have him in there being there, Maria. Okay. Yeah, they're going to have a fun time with the son in there. And yeah, the dad, I don't think he's going to make it, like Lakeisha said. All right, guys. May these 2 rest in peace. It is all around very sad case. I hope our teenagers learn, and these kids out here learn. Stop getting involved in these quick money scheme lifestyles. It doesn't lead to life. It leads to death or a long time prison sentence in jail. All right. Take care, guys. Have a lovely Thursday. I may come back a little later on to talk about another story. All right. Take care.
She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another day and she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace. She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another dame, she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace.